Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori Brame and this is Holy City Mystic. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new here, welcome back. If you would take a second, like and subscribe, I would love to see you in future videos. So today is another video in my Yod series, but before I move on, I've already done all the planets, and before I move on to other points in the chart like the angles or the nodes, I wanted to discuss something that is maybe a question that a lot of people have had, and it is the difference between a kite and a Yod and a Yod kite. So the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because with the nodes, you're going to have a north node exactly opposite a south node, forming a kite if you have a Yod that is pointing to one of them. As you can see in the diagram, you have your sextile here at the end, and then you also have the nodes opposing each other, forming that Yod kite. So a Yod kite is different than a traditional kite, and they actually act very differently. They both have apexes and they're both pretty rare to find in a birth chart, but I just wanted to discuss the difference so that you know what to look for and what they mean if you have one or both in your chart. So what is a traditional kite? A traditional kite is a grand trine with an opposition from one of the points. Now, a grand trine is a very easy flow of energy. It's very lucky, it's very destined. You have it in one of the elements. So either you have all three water signs, all three earth signs, all three fire signs, all three air signs. And you have either a planet or an angle nailing those down. And so you have that beautiful triangular flow of energy where things are easy. It's kind of like passing the ball to one partner and then they pass it over to another partner and then they pass it back to the first point. It's a very calm, flowy type of energy. A lot of people who have it are just naturally lucky. Like things just naturally work out for them. They don't really know how. They don't really have to try super hard. But it is also something that you have to work with in a different way. People with a lot of oppositions or squares in their chart, or even quincunxes, they have to build a lot of muscle growing up because things happen to them and they have to figure out how to deal with it. They're constantly jumping into action. People with a grand trine in their chart, they haven't had to build that muscle. So when things happen to them, they can fall apart, they can feel completely lost because they've never had to deal with opposition before. But if you have a kite, it's like you get the best of both worlds because you have that strong opposition right in the middle, and then you have that grand trine holding you up. So people with kites, there's a lot of destiny there. There's like, you have this opposition where these two things are fighting each other, but it's also anchoring the grand trine in. So it's like you have this beautiful flow, this tons of luck, but then something to actually point in a direction, something to actually give you something to work towards. So of course the apex in a kite is that opposition. It's going both ways. Now let me switch gears and talk about what a kite looks like in a Yod. A traditional kite with a grand trine and an opposition, it has two sextiles at the end, pointing to that opposition apex. Now, if you have a Yod, you actually have two inconjuncts at the end. The reason why I always say quincunx instead of inconjunct to describe that point 5 signs away is because an inconjunct just means it is without aspect. So the astrologer that came up with this said that there were two inconjuncts. It's when you have something exactly 30 degrees and then you have that 150 degrees, which is the quincunx. So at the bottom, instead of having that beautiful 60-degree flow of a sextile like you would in a normal kite, you have two inconjuncts where it's only 30 degrees pointing to the apex. You still have that sextile there going across, but the two inconjuncts are not necessarily favorable aspects. They don't really have a lot to relate to the other. So when you have a Yod kite, you have two apexes. So you have the apex all the way at the end, and then the other one opposing it. So if you have a north node Yod, that energy is going to shoot back and forth between the north node and the south node. Whereas the two bases of just a normal Yod without the kite, that's going to shoot energy into the apex and it's going to be a constant flow. And then those two, the energy is going to bounce back and forth, but then it's always shooting to the apex. So there is a lot of attention on that. When you have a kite, it's going to bounce back and forth. So you are going to have a lot of energy flowing into that north node, but that south node is always going to be involved. it's always going to be something that you have to pay attention to, something to go back and look at. So not all yachts are kites. Some of them are. Most kites are not yachts. They're that grand trine with an opposition. So now that I've done this video, I'll go back and I'll talk about the yachts that are kite with either the angles or the nodes. I just wanted you to have that primary information first so that you're not totally lost when it comes to, okay, what is a kite? What is a yacht? Like, is this a yod kite? Like, I don't really know what to do with this. And yod kites, like, you can have like Saturn at the apex and then your moon forming a kite. Like, it doesn't have to just be the angles or the nodes. Those are just the ones that are automatic because they are always perfectly opposing each other. But you can have that with other planets as well. Well, I really hope that made sense. If anybody has questions, please feel free to comment below and I'll answer them as best I can. And as always, thank you for hanging out.